You always feel better after a run. You just have to. It's what everyone says, so you have to feel better. You go for a run, you feel better. Simple. Well, what if you go for a run and you don't? Then what? What happens? I'm sure you've heard it before. It's classic blanket advice of go for a run and you'll feel better. And it's like, oh, you feel better afterwards. And you're maybe lacking a bit of motivation and you're going, oh, I just need to get out. And they go, yeah, go for a run. You'll always feel better. But is that the case? Will you feel better always? Every run? No matter the day? No matter the circumstance? I'm not sure. For many people, they do feel better after a run. They feel great. Running is so good for you. It really lifts your mood. There's been studies that have been done that shows that it increases the levels of dopamine and serotonin, and it also releases endorphins. So all of these mood enhancing endorphins are released, so that's it. The advice is correct. Let's end the video here. Well, maybe not. Now, you might be one of the lucky people who just no matter what, whenever you go for a run, it just really lifts you up. You come back, you feel so much better, you feel refreshed, you feel energized, and that is absolutely great. And if that's you, you probably want to click away from this video because it might not help you. However, if that's not you, if sometimes you come back from a run and then you sit on the sofa and you just feel a bit meh, and I'm not saying this is every time, but fairly often or sometimes, you just don't feel good after that run. You just think, I feel sluggish in the morning, you think, oh, go for a run, it'll sort it out. You go for that run, you smash it, you come back, and it's just like, actually, no. Or maybe the other case of that you feel okay, you go for a run, it's a bit disappointing, you come back, great. And there's all these factors, and I just think this advice is really great to help motivate people just to get their run done and to get out and exercise and to train. However, it maybe sometimes misses the mark because I think training and exercising can be so hard at times and really difficult to keep going. And if you sort of have this blanket statement of that everyone feels great after a run, but you keep having a recurring situation where you don't feel great after a run, how's that going to make you feel? So this video is kind of just me sharing how I felt after runs and hoping that it sort of helps you. So let's hit our first point, which is disappointing run. We all put a lot of pressure on ourselves when we go up to train. I do especially. There's so many goals I want to hit, so many times I want to do in specific race distances, whether that's from 5K or a 100-mile ultra or even doing things like an Ironman. There's so much pressure, and to just keep piling it on every single day, day after day, week after week, month after month. Sometimes some of these runs just aren't what they're cracked up to be. You go out and you go, right, okay, I really need to nail a time trial today, and you just way off the numbers. Or you go to a track session and you're hitting intervals and they're just not coming to you. And you just come back and you just sit at home and you just feel disappointed and you just have that overwhelming of like, oh, what's going on? Like, am I actually improving? Or am I wasting my time? Or just what's going on? That can be a really hard place to sit in mentally, especially when people are saying, oh, you always feel better after a run. It's like, well, hold on, no, I don't, because I went and did intervals last Tuesday and I was rubbish. I'm sorry, but I was. And that's true. Like, I did go and run intervals last Tuesday and I was terrible and it didn't work and I just felt naff. But I think in that moment, the thing to think about and maybe grasp to help you is to actually look back at the bigger picture, kind of zoom out, because if you can look across and you can go, well, actually yesterday's run was all right, and last week I did a similar interval session and that was all right, and maybe next week will be better. I think that can help in this situation. I think sometimes we can tie so much to just that one run in the moment, and it's so easy to do because it's what you've just done. You're sat there, you've literally just done it, you've put everything out there, your legs are aching, you're sweaty, you're tired, you're knackered, and you're just thinking, yeah, I'm sweaty, knackered and tired, but I don't actually feel like I've improved. But that's probably not true. So try and zoom out in this situation and just have a look at your training and what's been happening, and hopefully that will show you the little bit of light that is there and sort of not make you feel as bad about that run. So maybe you didn't have a disappointing session, but maybe you still don't feel great after the run, and this is because running isn't isolated. The world doesn't stop when you go for a run. There's still other things going on. And I think there's this whole idea of that, like, running just kind of takes you out of everything, and maybe things aren't good at the moment. Maybe you didn't sleep well, maybe you're not eating well. That's a real big problem of me. I'm terrible with food. I'm awful. I'm all or nothing. If I'm gonna eat something, I'm eating it all, just no matter what it is, I'm eating all of it. And that is terrible for me because I just keep putting on weight no matter how much I train. So that's a really interesting place to be in, but just going for one run doesn't take me out of that. I could go for a run and it's not going to impact maybe what I eat later. Taking that isolation away from the run I think is really important, because you may be struggling with something mentally, you may be having a really tough week at work, there may be family things, you just don't know what's going on. You might have slept absolutely terribly the night before. I went for a swim yesterday, but the night before I slept like crap and the swim was awful, and it was made doubly worse because it was a really busy session and everyone was really fast and I felt terrible. And I know that's not a run, but it's the similar idea. And sometimes, yeah, it just doesn't get you over it. Like, I've been having things going on at the moment and I think, oh yeah, I'll go for a run, and it's just like, I come back and it's still not gone. Like, as soon as you're back in it, it's not like that run just fixed everything. So I think just expecting it to, and I think this advice really gives that sort of vibe of like, oh yeah, you always feel great after a run. It's like, oh yeah, no, I just had some awful news, but it's fine, I'll go for a 10k and then I'll forget the news and my life will be great. It's just not how it works. And I think it's okay to have that. Like, if you are going through something and every run is not fixing it and it's not great, then don't worry about that. Like, that's totally fine. But alternatively, actually, if a run does feel good and does lift your mood and helps you a little bit escape from that for a while, then that's also great. Then we also have the dreaded injury, and this can happen, and sometimes it's not even a big injury. Sometimes it's just a niggle that comes back, or something doesn't feel right, or something feels harder than it should. And this is a common one, because if you're pushing hard relentlessly over and over again, injuries will crop up. It is just inevitable, and they will make you feel awful. It's just the harsh reality of putting yourself through physical exertion on a regular basis, especially with something that is so savage to the body as running. It's really, really hard, and you will pick up injuries. I'm super lucky because last week I really thought I picked up an injury on my left foot, and I've just about got away with it. And I've been super lucky, and I think I've just taken a bit of intensity off. But after that run, the whole, like, the year's gone, everything's gone, everything is just terrible. And there's that whole idea of like, you always feel better after a run, and how I felt after that run, well, I mean, they couldn't be more polar opposites if they tried. I just felt like everything was crumbling because I just jumped into like a year-long training to try and nail a race next year that I really want to focus on, and sort of going through all these training cycles, and within like 6 weeks I think I picked up an injury. I've got super lucky and I've got away with it, but you might not be that lucky, and next time I might not be that lucky. I just think this advice is such a blanket term, and I understand it from a motivation point of view, of just when you're sat on the sofa and you're just like, I can't be arsed today, I don't want to run. And then someone goes, yeah, but you feel better afterwards. And you go, yeah, you're right, I feel good that I've done it. And I get that, but I just think it's banded around way too much, and kind of there's no nuance to it. It is just this blanket, like, you'll feel better after a run. You will, you have to. And it's like, hold on, no, that kind of isn't how it works. That's kind of my thoughts on the situation, and hopefully you're watching this video and maybe just something in it just twigs and you go like, yeah, actually last week I had an awful run and I felt terrible about it and I haven't run since. And maybe this video just sort of picks you up a little bit and goes like, yeah, actually I can run and not have the greatest run, but it be all right. Or it not do everything it needs for me mentally, but that's also alright. Or I just don't perform well today, but it's okay because I performed well last week and hopefully I'll perform well next week. Right, so there is a real lot to unpack there, and a lot of it I'm probably not qualified to do. So take this video with a pinch of salt. It is purely to help you and sort of have a conversation around this idea. I think there's a lot of blanket advice in running and exercise, and I kind of want to tackle some of it.
Oh my goodness, Lenore.
Because I think it can be really unhelpful, and I think that's no matter where you are. I think whether you're a beginner and you're thinking, well, actually running sucks and I hate it and I feel awful after every run, or whether you're a pro and you're having a really bad week. Maybe you've come off your off season, you're getting back into training, it's not going well, and you see all your competitors and you're going, well, he's flying or she's flying or whatever, and it's just it's overwhelming at times. It really can be. So it's just trying to help, and I think if this is something that you are going through and you do need help with, I definitely think it's worth looking at where you can get that help and going through it, because I think it's something that all of us will struggle with at a time, and maybe we don't talk about enough. So hopefully this just opens up the conversation. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions or want to add to the discussion, please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to read and reply to all of them. If you think I've earned it, please hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.